Well, I still watch the 2026 NBA playoff and still follow what's going on around the NBA just for fun, right? But I'm not gonna put like my full interest in it because I just don't like the way NBA's been run, right? So yeah, I guess that a lot of people feel like my NBA content it's just it's full of crap. It is, right? And I did make it an NBA prediction on my NBA bracketing, and most of them were pretty much wrong, and some were definitely right? So I've been listening to Sport Fitness, man, all the people that talk about sport, like how they break it out, right? The reason why I'm sick of watching this crap is because teams hate physicality, they complain a lot, they flop a lot, and they just shoot a lot of threes, right? I'm like, if you're a real NBA fan, you're tired of seeing this type of garbage product, right? And I thought that in the first round, like every single round, it's gonna end in like 5 games, but somehow, some way, like surprisingly, several of these games actually went to game 7, right? Especially on the East Coast. I mean, the East has been really weak, right? The West is gonna win again. I guarantee you that, man. Okay, this is why I don't follow the East that much, because I'm closer to the West, and the East is just pure garbage as usual, man. And this is why LeBron just gets to the final like every single goddamn time he's in the East, right? I mean, it's the same thing over and over again, right? And I'm not going to talk about playing because they should definitely remove that. It's nothing, another full bunch of crap, right? It's just going to be the same exact result. Or the team that really doesn't deserve, they just finally get, just swept. Just plain old swept. Just like what happened last year, the 10 seed, Heat versus the, Cavaliers, right? That was a very boring series. Most boring I ever heard, right? And there were so much major blowouts, right? And there's been speaking of blowouts, man, a lot of people like close games and, entertaining. But seeing like 50-point blowouts, I'm like, you probably know who's gonna win already, even by like first quarter. Like some teams are already getting blown out. Like this is absolutely nuts and crazy, man. You have to play a full 48 minutes to get blown. Now like you just have to play one quarter just to blow out a team. This is ridiculous, man. Okay, this is why the NBA is so unwatchable. Like you expect close, physical game, but it just got out of hand, just minutes into this game. So, yeah. But now, the playoffs are, much more fun, watchable after, second round exit because, man, because they just talk about this certain player like LeBron James, like all the time, right? Some players are just so narcissists, right? Like they just need to be in attention like 24/7. And think of all the teams that people don't like, or people that don't respect, they're out of the playoff now. So thank God it's over, man, right? It's something to even make it to the playoff. That's even a bigger slap in the face, right, for them. So yeah, so let's go over the OKC over Suns. I knew the Suns have no chance, right? The Suns are Devin Booker is a clown, Dylan Brooks, all that, like, front runners, right? Yeah, the Suns are absolutely garbage. They don't deserve to have a single win. I was right about that, right? So that's not even a question, right? And then you got the Spurs, versus the Portland Trailblazers, right? As long as Victor Wembanyama's there, I mean, they should have swept that team, honestly. But then Victor got injured. That's how, the Portland got a game, right? Because they went actually at the Spurs. If Spurs just defend their home court, they would have no chance at all. So I really like Portland Trailblazer, Denby, that guy, right? And a bunch of other young role player and Drew Holiday, right? But yeah, the Blazers don't stand a chance against Spurs. Spurs are a very dangerous team, right? I mean, but they're young, so God, they're gonna be 10 times, they're gonna be 10 times, more dangerous, next year. So yeah, because of playoff experience, and they're doing this much damage. I'm like, is the NBA weak, or I'm just, exaggerating, right? But yeah, and Spurs got like a bunch of good role players around Wemby. So, but then Wemby's, I mean, for crying out loud, there's been a lot of injuries, and teams are just still winning, right? Embarrassing, exposing team. And then you got the Nuggets, versus Timberwolves. Nikola Jokic is overrated as hell, man. Right? He should not deserve any MVP, right? So yeah, the Nuggets are trash because of him, right? The Timberwolves, half of the Timberwolves were injured, and somehow the Timberwolves just like pulled this game away. The Timberwolves are still a joke to me, man. They're still, and they beat the Nuggets, man. I know the Nuggets are overrated as hell, man. Because I remember last year they were in Game 7 with the Clippers. I know Clippers are the biggest curse of the NBA, and they barely beat the Clippers, right? I knew that, being the Timberwolves, is not going to get any easier. And the Timberwolves are definitely a lot better than the Clippers right now. So, in my opinion, the Clippers didn't even make it to the playoffs. So, no surprise there. Denver exit first round, right? Yeah, people cannot stand the Nugget because they can't stand Nikola Jokic, man. He flops all over the place, right? I've been watching highlight of Nikola Jokic flops, right? Don't tell me like he didn't flop. He did flop, right? So can't stand that guy. And they got Murray, and they got like other decent. The Nuggets are just another regular season team. So boom, they're out of here, man. Right? Timberwolves advance, right? I mean, the Nuggets were heavily favored in that series, right? I even picked them to go to Game 7. I don't really trust the Nuggets at all. And I'm not surprised that the Timberwolves actually beat them. Not surprised there. So, okay, let's go with the Lakers, versus the Houston Rockets, right? I should never trust the Lakers, to beat any team having a 40-year-old LeBron James, right? That dismantle the team and, causes the team, to be so dysfunctional, right? I should never trust it. And somehow, Kevin Durant was the biggest toxic. And I knew that, Rockets should have never got Kevin Durant. That stupid Rocket team, they're just a bunch of dumb teams, but they have all the talents and great coach Udoka. I never trust JJ Redick, right? He's a very bad coach. You hire a podcaster, just to, help your Lakers team. I knew they're not going to win, but even if they luckily win somehow, first round, they're not going to do second round. I knew they're like, yeah, but that Rocket team has like problem, like even the playing team can actually take over the Rocket. That's just how bad the Rockets are, right? I'm like, yeah, they don't have really good chemistry, they're young, but I feel like this team should just blow it up, man. That was just pure embarrassing. Look way worse than they were last year, right? The Rockets were trash because of Jalen Green, right? I'm like, they just didn't have a good leadership there. They switched it and they put Kevin Durant. They got even worse, right? I'll never trust Kevin Durant again, and I cannot respect that guy. And a lot of people should not respect Kevin Durant, right? Yeah, he has very poor leadership, man, Kevin Durant. Now, let's go over the East, and talk about, let's see, Cavaliers versus Raptors, right? That series out, went to Game 7, right? I know Cavs been in the playoff field for quite some while, They have Donovan Mitchell and Moe. I'm like, let's talk about Denver versus Timberwolves. They make Rudy Gobert look like Shaq, right? Rudy Gobert is a really bad defender, right? So that just shows you, how soft this guy is. And now we just go over the East Coast. So you got the Cavs versus the Raptors, right? Don't know what's going on in that series, but it did won the Game 7. So, and then you got the Pistons, versus the Magic, right? I haven't picked the Pistons because they're the first seed, but then I knew they're fraud at the same time because they don't have experience, right? And Kate Cunningham, and Jalen, Durant, right? I mean, these guys don't know what it takes to win, honestly. So there's just a short recap there, right? About, the Detroit Pistons. I mean, they were the laughingstock in the NBA, a couple years back. But, yeah, they just need more, experience. I mean, don't really care about them. I mean, honestly, they just have to figure out, you know, like how to do better next time, right? I'm like, yeah, they don't honestly deserve, because I heard that over the Detroit Pistons versus Magic series, the Magic actually got injured, right? Frank Wagner. So yeah, injuries another thing, you know, like Detroit got lucky they got out of the first round, right? Blew a 3, like the Magic blew 3-1 lead, but there's just no excuse there, just some injuries, some problems, right? And then you got the Cavs versus, you know, there's another thing why, you know, Cavaliers are not a fun team to watch, because of James Harden, right? I even forgot who James Harden. See, this is why, you know, like the NBA isn't worth it anymore. Like the minute some team, like you don't even know if that superstar is on the team, a washed-up player. Like I even forgot James Harden was on the Cavaliers, right? So yeah, okay, Cavalier advance. Philadelphia 76ers versus Celtic. Everybody knows how to beat the Celtics, right? I definitely would never pick Celtics to win the championship again. They're not. And they actually got in the first round. Was so embarrassing. Pure fucking embarrassing. I mean, embarrassing, right? So, yeah, man. You lost to the 76ers, to the garbage 76ers, man. Right? That first of all got swept by the Knicks, right? In the second round. So that makes you even look even weaker as ever. And they just have to blow his team up. I don't know why this Celtic is so delusional. I guess some teams delusional, they just want to keep the roster thing, like they're gonna win it all of it again, right? They should just blow it up, right? I mean, just shooting threes after threes and complaining the refs and all that stuff, man. It's not gonna win you championship. You just cannot shoot threes all the time, man. That's not how it works. This is why people are sick and tired of watching these DCO games, right? So unwatchable, because all you do is attacking threes, man. Like, what if you miss like majority of them? Then you're in trouble. If you make some of them, then it's only gonna help you win some game, right? You're not gonna win every game by shooting three. It's not gonna happen, right? And then we have to go. Let's see. So, what series did I also forgot? Oh yeah, the Knicks versus Hawks. I even forgot that series because that was another garbage series, right? Knicks also swept the Hawks, but I guess the Hawks are better without Trae Young, right? And got some two wins, right? And then Game 6 was pure garbage. You know, the Hawks just totally gave up. They're just getting blown out, right? So, yeah. And speaking like, they're just multiple. Even the Philadelphia, every time they play Game 1, you know, they get blown out, right? But the Hawks, you know, they just gave up again, you know, just like the Detroit Pistons, right? And then we had to go over, you know, round 2, right? The Detroit Pistons versus Cavs, you know. Yeah, we all know that the Detroit, you know, they got all the credit, but then if you just look carefully at them, they honestly don't deserve to be there, right? I mean, it's not surprised that, you know, they give Cavalier this much problem, because Cavaliers are also pretending. Remember, the East is wide open, right? There are no real pretenders, right? I mean contenders, right? For the title, right? I mean, aside from the Knicks, you know, like, okay, like everyone is gonna get eliminated, but then I look at the Knicks like, yeah, the Knicks are much more formidable than the Cavaliers. I can tell you that much, right? So, yeah, I mean, the Philadelphia events versus the New York Knicks, and the Knicks just swept them, right? Just swept them. I thought like the Philadelphia was like this good. Like, why did they beat the Celtics in 7? I'm like, it makes no sense. Like, they stole some game, they win at the Boston, but then I feel yeah, Boston's probably weaker than I thought, right? So I thought like the Knicks are gonna be inconsistent. They're gonna be some goofed up team, and I guess the Knicks are a lot more serious, you know, they take it a lot more personally, and somehow, you know, like, yeah, they're just not going to let Philadelphia, you know, win a game. They just, like, erase them from the face of the earth. So, that's just message me, tells me, you know, like, everything I need to know, right? So, that's why I cannot watch. There's too many games going on, you know. I might be inaccurate in all of these, right? But once we get to the Western Conference final, I mean, there's only, like, 2 matchups, right? And you can pay attention, you know, like much more in detail, because all these stinking garbage teams are out of the playoffs, right? 76er, another like Laker. They're just another Laker team, pure garbage, that team that did not deserve to be this far, right? So, yeah, the Knicks deserve it, I knew the 76ers has no chance, right? Yeah, so I call it a sweep, right? Boom, boom, bye-bye, and the Knicks go crazy. Oh, their fan base is just something else. No need to explain this video. So, Cavaliers versus Detroit Pistons just ended last night, so yeah, Cavs win, right? I mean, that should not be a surprise because they beat a really young Pistons team, right? That just don't have what it takes to win and don't have experience. I told you, experience matters a lot, right? Even though if you're not watching, experience matters a lot. The Pistons just got to the playoffs just last year, right? The Cavs has been in the playoff like multiple years, and I mean, yeah, Game 7 is a whole different story, I knew that, the Pistons, every time it gets to like Game 7 or like big clutch time, like the team looks so nervous. Like they don't even know what to do out there, right? That's how it is, and that's how Cleveland slaughtered them, man. Like by 30 points, right? So, yeah, I mean, the Pistons just blew multiple opportunity of closing the series, closing the game. So, yeah, that's on them, But let's go over the West and talk about the OKC versus Lakers, I knew this is going to be a sweep, right? I knew it. I just knew it, right? I thought, like, maybe the Lakers can get one game, but since they don't have Luka Doncic, I mean, I forgot, like, the Lakers also injured too. Like, they don't have Luka Doncic, right? Austin Reeves was out most of the time, right? But then he came in series, and then he just, like, yeah, everywhere LeBron goes to, the team becomes, like, instantly trash, right? So, there's no question about it. Everybody knows LeBron James is a fraud, right? So, yeah, Thunder should beat them like no problem, right? I'm like, they could have won Game 4, but I guess like the Lakers are so bad, like they couldn't even not win. They're not gonna win any game against Thunders, not a single, man. That gotta be the easiest predicted series. If I would say 4, I would have definitely been correct, right? And I won the game in 4, right? So, and then we got Timberwolves versus Spurs. I feel like, yeah, that series should have been a 5 game, right? But damn NBA, you're soft. You're just soft as hell, man. You're so soft. I remember Victor Wembanyama, got ejected just for like playing a little physical there, like slap like this, right? I mean, back in the 80s, like they wouldn't have a problem, but Victor Wembanyama probably would have got injured, right? I know this guy is freaking frail, He looked strong in his era, but if you put him back like 30 years ago, he wouldn't last, and his career would have like ended right there, man. Okay, he's not strong like Shaq, right? Shaq is like way stronger than him, right? Shaq and other centers, right? Like Ali Kwan and I don't know, with Chamberlain. Michael Jordan's even way stronger than him. Even though Michael Jordan's a midget comparing, to Victor Wembanyama, right? So, yeah. I guess Timberwolves stole that game 1, as a surprise. I mean, Timberwolves should definitely win the game, since they spanked the Nugget just like with a depleted roster. So, yeah, they should get at least a game against the Spurs, but not 2 games because that Game 4 was suspension. Every time Victor Wembanyama comes out, the Spurs look very vulnerable, but then they just put up a good fight, this is what I like about most teams, they just put up a fight until, they got nothing left in the gas tank, right? So, yeah, I knew that Anthony Edwards is just a bunch of... That guy's a joke, man. Okay? Just so many clowns in the playoff, right? Thank God that clown's out of here, He said he's going to win a championship. I'm never going to trust Anthony Edwards to win the championship, right? And they got Rudy Gobert, yeah. The Timberwolves are just another goof-off team, man. Again, man, right? They're better than the Nuggets, but then they're not gonna overcome the Spurs. No chance, man. Right? They're not being Thunder. They're not being the Spurs. Right? Even the Timberwolves, miraculously defeat the Spurs. They're either gonna get gentleman sweep or sweep by the Thunder. So, let's just put it, right there. And that's the end of the video, me talking about the playoffs, right? I mean, at the end of these last 2 games, the Timberwolves lost by like 30 points. Something like that, right? It's just, playoffs are better, but it's just more of the same thing, man. This is so boring. We're getting tired of seeing these stupid blowouts, man. Right? We're getting tired of it. I mean, they seem to fun to watch, but then the score is so lopsided. I mean, yeah, most people are going to exit by like 4th quarter. The 4th quarter wouldn't matter much because you're down by like 30 plus. And then you end up losing by like 40, 50 points, like gazillions of points, right? But I did not see any crazy comeback, right? So yeah, I remember Orlando Magic even blew out the Detroit, right? But then that's why they got back in the game, because of injuries, right? I remember Orlando choked so hard, but it's the injuries that derailed them. So not making excuse there, but I forgot to mention that point, right? So just going here, there, before I end up this video, right? The Detroit make a 30-point comeback, a 30-point switch is nothing new to me, man. Especially if teams injured. That just completely cuts the momentum and cut their life out of Orlando Magic right there. So yeah, it is what it is, man. So but yeah, there's another reason why I didn't watch play. I did not making this as an excuse, but look, man, I'm not making excuse of myself. I think the first week of the playoff or second week of the playoff, I was in Utah, exploring like my Grand Canyon stuff, right? Yeah, I mean, I was doing lots of hiking because I did not have time to watch basketball, right? And I'm probably not interested anyway, so I just recap, for the sake of it, because after second round, things are only gonna get much better. So I just say, what happens, how much my prediction has been off, right? So how much prediction I got right? I think I probably say like less than 50%. Let's just be honest here, right? I mean, most of that right. I mean, I got the Lakers versus Houston. That was wrong, right? Lakers versus Thunder, I got that right? What about Spur and Portland? Easily got the Spur over them, man. Timberwolves versus Nugget, that was a close one, but then, I should have picked the Timberwolves, right? They were clearly better. And the Thunder versus Suns, no question about it, I picked Thunders, right? Cavaliers versus Raptors, I definitely picked Cavaliers, but I probably picked the Cavaliers like less than 6 games. That was the false statement right there. Hawks versus Knicks, I already picked Knicks already. 76er, Celtics, I picked Celtics. I even picked them to the finals. I don't know why, man. My head's not thinking really straight, so I should have picked 76er. Was a bit surprising, and then you got the Knicks versus Hawks. I mean, I already said that. And the Cavalier, the Detroit versus Magic. Magic should have been on top, but then I picked Detroit. Detroit again, Cavs, but Cavaliers, I predicted, Pistons win, but Cavs won, and then we got the 76ers versus Knicks. Easily, I should have picked, I definitely would have picked the Knicks already, so that's already out of the way. Thunder versus Lakers, no problem. And then you got Spurs versus Timberwolves. Definitely would have picked the Spurs. And now, the series is much closer. But the East will not be exciting comparing, to the West, right? The real final is the Thunder versus the Spurs, right? That's the real final, because that should go Game 7, right? But I don't know about the Knicks versus Cavs. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to pick the Knicks over them, right? So